Montana Power Company exemplified the very best of American capitalism. It provided cheap, reliable electricity for the people of Montana, excellent benefits for thousands of employees, and generous, reliable dividends for its stockholders. Everyone was happy, except for the corporate officers and their Wall Street investment banking firm, who decided there was more money to be made in the more glamorous and profitable world of telecommunications. The result exemplified the worst of American capitalism. The cheap electricity, the good jobs, and life savings of a lot of people are gone now, along with the name Montana Power. Its demise may not be the biggest scandal of our time, but to its stockholders, it shows how greed and outright stupidity destroyed one of the oldest and proudest companies in America. Montana is a state roughly the size of California, with fewer than 1 million people. What it does have a lot of is natural resources. Montana Power was founded in Butte 89 years ago by the Anaconda Copper Company to provide a cheap, reliable source of energy for its mining operations. And as Montana grew, so did Montana Power. It became one of the largest employers in the state, and the first Montana company listed on the New York Stock Exchange. For years, it paid a dividend of 7%. Good stock?
Good stock.
Steady?
Steady, almost to the point of boring. Gary Buchanan.
Gary Buchanan is a former Montana legislator who runs an investment firm in Billings. Over the years, he's bought and held lots of Montana Power stock for his clients.
I've heard people say that my husband told me that I can sell anything but Montana Power. Keep the stock, keep the dividend.
What's more, its customers, which was everyone in Montana, had some of the lowest electricity bills in the country. The rates were regulated by the state, and in exchange, Montana Power received a monopoly. The only people not satisfied with this arrangement were the executives at Montana Power. In 1997, their lobbyists pushed a bill through the state legislature to deregulate the price of electricity and open up the market to competition.
Stands adjourned.
It was supposed to be good for consumers. They could decide who they were going to buy their power from at the lowest possible prices. But Frank Morrison, a former Montana Supreme Court justice who now represents the stockholders, believes there was another reason. He says Montana Power officials had already decided to get out of the utility business and were using deregulation to drive up the price of its assets.
Part of the plan involved going to the legislature and pushing through a bill right at the end of the session with no deliberation to deregulate power in Montana. They did that in order to make the generating assets more valuable on the open market. No price limit on selling power in Montana, therefore we can go out and sell these generators for more money.
Sure enough, within 6 months of the bill's passage, the company began selling off its generating assets. First, it sold the company's hydroelectric dams, coal mines, and power plants to Pennsylvania Power and Light. Next, Montana Power announced it was selling its transmission and distribution system and getting out of the business entirely. It was going to join the dot-com revolution by transforming itself into a high-tech telecommunications company called Touch America. The decision was made on the advice of its New York investment banker, Goldman Sachs, without consulting the stockholders.
Everybody was stunned. I mean, the shareholders that I knew were stunned. The employees that I know said that that came completely out of the blue to them.
Longtime shareholders like Marjorie Schmeckel and her brother Mike now owned a stock called Touch America, which had once been a small but profitable telecommunications subsidiary of Montana Power.
Do you think that most of the stockholders knew that their investment had gone from a sort of stodgy, reliable, safe utility stock to a very speculative, very risky telecom stock?
I would say that most of them knew there was some change, but I doubt that most of them knew how drastically different it was.
The company's plan was to take the $2.7 billion raised in the sale of Montana Power's assets and literally bury the profits in the ground. The new company, Touch America, was going to lay a 26,000-mile fiber optic network that would carry voice, video, and data transmissions across a dozen western states. It was the brainchild